In today's video, I will show you some tricks that you can use to stop spammers from sending emails with your contact forms on your website. Now, if you have ever made a form on your website, you must have noticed that quite quickly some spammers start sending you emails with those forms, and that's very annoying. Now, one popular way to stop this is by using the Google reCAPTCHA, but if you don't want to sell your soul to Google, then you have to think of some other solution. So in today's video, I will show you a couple of ways you can do it yourself without any external libraries. So here I have just this simple form, an HTML form with a name and an email and a message and then a submit form. So if I go to my browser here it is, my beautiful contact form. And then I have this sendform.php, which this form posts to. And it just creates this message and then sends it to my Gmail account and then redirects to thankyou.php, which is just this with the CSS tag right here. So if I would fill up this form here, some name and some email and some message, and then I would send it, it will think for a while and it will send it to my Gmail. Okay, and now it says thanks. And when I go to my Gmail and I refresh, then here I have contact from website with the information. So that is great, but now spammers can use this to send emails to you, which is not that fun. So how do we stop them? Now, nothing really stops someone from just filling out this form and submitting it, but most of the spam that comes from these forms is automated. So we have to think of some way to stop the automation. Now, as I mentioned, there is Google reCAPTCHA that does some magic and it sends some data to Google and does all kinds of things and then doesn't allow robots to easily send your form. But that's a bit complicated to set up, and of course you're sending some data to Google, which is not the best idea. So one easy way to do this, and it's super easy, is that we will create a new file here called stopspam.js. And here we will write one single line of code, which will be document query selector form dot inner HTML plus equals input type hidden name not bot value 1 and save this. And then we are going to include this file in our index.php. And then we will go to our sendform.php, and instead of sending the email here, we will add an if statement. If we have a post variable called notBot, then we send the email. In fact, we can do this other way. We can just say if we don't have it, then we will just say you are a bot and we will die after this. So this is all you need. So let me demonstrate. If I now go here and I put something here and I send the form, it will be sent. But now you're saying, well, you send it, what did you do? Well, the thing is that most of these bots do not have JavaScript enabled. So in fact, let's make a quick spam robot with PHP. So let's create a file called spammer.php. And here we will say the URL will be this, which is where my website is currently. And we will say the HTML of this URL will be file get contents URL. And then we will grab all of the form elements from this HTML. And we have to get also the action. And we have to specify S so that we are going to work with multi-line regexes. And this will be HTML. And we will save them into forms. And I will initialize it here. So now we should be able to loop through all of these forms. And when we call preg match all, there will be two keys in the array, which both will have an array. So the first key, the key 0, will be all the matches that match the whole thing. And key number 1 will be an array of all of the matches in parentheses. Something like that. I can never remember it. So this should be actually the 0, because we want the whole HTML of the form. And we want to take the key as well. So now in the form variable, we should have the HTML for the form. So then we have to get all the input elements from the form. And first we have to get the action. So the action will be forms key 1. And in that array, it will be the same key as the form key. So that should be the action. And then we can say inputs is an array, and we will preg match again. And this time we will match the inputs, and we will match inputs and text areas. And that's really all we have to do. We only have to get the names of the input. And let's put the S in there as well. And this will be from the form, which is the HTML of the form. And we will add them to inputs. So now in the inputs array, we should have all of the input fields. So then we can do for each of inputs, and this will be the key 2. So that should be all the names. So the key 0 will be everything that matches the whole thing, and then key 1 will be all the matches of the first thing in parentheses, and the key 2 will be an array of all the things that match in the second parenthesis. So this will be as input. So this should be the input name actually. And then let's say just here, just for the sake of debugging, echo input name and a new line. And let's do here echo action. So now if I did everything correctly, which I probably did not, then now if we run this, we will get send form and message. Now I did something wrong because I only got the message. So let's print R, what is inside these inputs. So the 0th key is an array with key 0, which will be the whole thing. 1 will be the type, and 2 will be, okay. So it was exactly like I said, but why did we get only one of them? It is because I didn't put a question mark over here. So now if we run this, we get all of the names of the input element. And then we can do something like query is a new array, and we will say query input name equals match input name to name Mr. Spammer, and email to an email, and message to this is spam, and default we can put something random, something. And then we should be able to curl that and then send some spam. Now this is just for demonstration purposes. I will not publish this in GitHub. So ch will be curl init with our URL, which actually we have to append the action to it. And then we will say curl set opt. What do we need to set? We need to set curl set opt post. Curl opt post will be true, and curl set opt return transfer will be true, and curl set opt curl post fields will be the query. And maybe that's all we need. Then we just have to say, we have to add ch to all of it. And then we have to say result will be curl exec ch. And let's echo the result so we know what happened. So if we now run this, it will say you are a bot. So we cannot use this script right now because it doesn't know JavaScript. So let me just demonstrate if I take this out of here. Script and run this. And of course I have to take it out from sendform.php. And if I run this, then we are actually sending the email. So now if I go to my Gmail and I refresh, then here we have, that's my previous one. Here we have Mr. Spammer, send us some spam. So now we have a very simple way of blocking spam. Now, this is not the best way to do it, of course, because it will just say you are a bot. So what if your user actually doesn't have JavaScript on? What will happen then? They won't be able to send you any emails. Now, there's one thing we could do here, and that is we can add a fallback here. Instead of saying you are a bot and then just exiting, we will add here a form that confirms are you a bot or not. Because it is very unlikely that a bot would send a form and then click another button and then send another form in order to send some spam. So let's put here form method is post, and let's add here are you a bot, and then we will put an input here which is a checkbox, and we will call it not bot as we called the hidden field as well. And let's wrap this in a label. I am not a bot. And then we will have a submit button here. And then of course we have to add here all the posted data so that we can post it again. So let's just loop through all the posted data. and create a hidden field here. And we will escape these. Key and value. So now, if I remove this script from here, so now we are never sending the not bot field, and I go back here and I send this form, it will say, are you a bot? And I will add my styling in here so that it will be dark. And what did I do? Check box. So now it will ask me, are you a bot? If I click send message, then it won't send it. But if I click I am not a bot and I send it, then it will send it and it will tell me thanks. So now we have a fallback that probably any bot, or at least most bots, would not use, because they are not programmed for this. They are programmed for one thing. Now, in fact, you could leave it like this without the JavaScript, that it'll be just a two-step form. So that would probably help already. Of course, this is not going to help with like targeted attacks. If someone really wants to send emails from your website, then they can do it. But most of the bots, like automatic crawlers, will not be able to do this. So now let me enable this again, and let me try this spammer. And it will say, are you a bot? So we cannot send this. We should parse this form again and then send that forward in order to send this. But now, what if we are a sophisticated spammer and we have something better than just a file get contents PHP script? What if we are using Puppeteer, for example? So let's create a Puppeteer script that will be able to send this form even with the JavaScript. So we will have to do const Puppeteer equals require Puppeteer. And we will have to add this async function here. And we have to say const browser is await Puppeteer new page. And const page is await browser dot, no, this is new page, sorry. This will be launch. And we will pass in headless false, so we can actually see what's happening. And then we'll say page await page.go to localhost 8081, and we'll say await page.type, and we'll type into the input which has a name of name, and we will say Mr. Spammer, and we will do this for all of the form fields. This one will be email, and I will write something here, and this will be the message, which will be a text area. Now this is a very targeted attack because it's actually looking for these specific elements. Although these are very popular, so it might work just if you randomly put this to crawl all kinds of websites. This is some spam. Okay, and then we will await page click, input, type, submit, and await browser.close. So now we still have our spammer protection in place. Let's verify. So I will run this spammer.php again. And no, we are not able to send any spam right now with PHP. But how about if we run node Puppeteer spammer? Let's see what happens. We are opening a browser, we are sending the form, and we sent it. So now we are able to automatically send some forms. And of course, if we set headless to true, then we don't actually get a browser, it just does it. So now we should have 2 emails. If we refresh this, we have actually 3 emails. I sent some test already. So here, this is some spam from Puppeteer, and another one, some spam from Puppeteer. So how do we prevent this? Well, there is an easy way to do this as well. So if we modify our stop spam, and actually we will just do this, set timeout, and we will wrap this in a function, and we will set some, let's say 3-second timeout. And if we run this now, let's see what will happen. Now actually, I should put it back to headless and then run this. Sorry, what am I doing? Headless false. And then we open it and we send this, and did we get something? No, we didn't get anything because it filled out the form faster than 3 seconds. And now most bots would not wait 3 seconds because they want to send a lot of spam, and 3 seconds is too long for one page. So this works. Now this is not that great because if I now go here and I quickly put something in, then it will disappear because I used inner HTML. But of course we can change this and we can actually build an input element. So const input is document.createElement input, and then we will set input.type is hidden, input.name is not bot, and input.value is 1. And then we will say append child input. So this should now work. If I go back here and I refresh this page and I quickly put something here, it doesn't disappear. And if I send this, it will actually send it. So now we solved that issue as well. Now I have seen some bots that can bypass and they will send some spam. I'm not sure how they do it. Maybe they set all the timeouts to 0 or something, or maybe they actually wait for a long time, or maybe there have been targeted attacks or something. But there's a couple of things we can do here, and this is more like security through obscurity. So if we instead make a function add not bot field, and then we put this inside the function, and then we set a variable here, not bot is false, or maybe we should call it is bot is true. So by default everyone's a bot, and then after 3 seconds we will say is bot is false. So if the person is 3 seconds on the page, then officially they are not a bot. And then what we will do is we will add an event listener, document.add event listener, to the scroll event. And in this event, set this as passive true. We will call add not bot field. And I will add here input.classList add not bot. And I'll add here if is bot, or let's take this form here, const form is this. If we are a bot or the form has query selector not bot, then we will just return, because we don't have to add it if it's a bot or if we have added it already. So now only after we scroll this will happen. And now depending on the page, if we are on this page, then we cannot actually scroll, so that's a bad idea. But then we can add this to other things. So we can add a click, or we can add touch end or something like this. So if you're on the phone, then when you touch the screen, then this will happen. And you could think of other event listeners you could add. And of course we have the fallback to asking for the click of the checkbox. So now we have some more, at least obscurity in this. So this might prevent some more sophisticated robots. But now, what if we want a really good method to really stop the spammers? So we're going to need a Captcha, but we don't want to use Google's evil Captcha. So let's create our own Captcha. So how would we do this? Well, one simple way would be to use one of those questions like what is 1 plus 3, and then you have to put the answer in. So let's try and do that. How would we do that? So here we should add another label, spam protection. And here we would say, well actually I will just say how much is, and then of course we can't say the same thing every time, because then you would just be able to send that same number. So let's add here echo number 1 plus number 2 and a question mark. And then we will add a text input here, and we will call it check. And then let's set those up here. Number 1 will be random from 1 to 5. Let's keep it easy. People are not going to be able to add larger numbers than 5. Number 2 will be random from 1 to 5 as well. And then total will be number 1 plus number 2. Now, how do we know then what is the result? Because we can't add just input fields here that has the number, because then you could calculate it easily. Of course, you could calculate it from this too, because it's in the HTML. We will figure that out later. But for now, let's do this. Let's actually start a session. And then let's set session total will be total. So we will save this total in the session. And we should probably add some identifier here, because this might change if they have the form open in one tab and then they go to another tab. do it. So let's create an ID. ID will be, how do we generate an ID? Random bytes 32. Is that too secure? And base before encode. So now we will have a random key here in the session that has the correct answer. And then we will send that with this specific form. So let's add input type is hidden and name will be ID and value will be ID. So now with every form we send an ID and we have saved into the session the result, the correct answer to the question. So now I can remove this JavaScript from here and we will change our send form file. And I will remove this check and I will change it. I will first of all start a session start. And then I will say send code will be post check and send ID will be post ID. And then correct answer will be session total. No, why did I call it total? I'll change it later. I will say Captcha. Captcha dot send ID. This is the correct answer. And then we'll say if send code is not correct answer, then we will exit and we will say you are a bot. Now, of course, you should provide a way for the user to go back to the form and submit it. But this is just an example, okay? So let's see if this will work. So now we have here, how much is 3 plus 3? So let me put something here, and this is of course 5. You are a bot. Okay, let's go back, and let's say maybe it's 6. Oh, it actually changed already. So this will be 8. It's going to be 9. It still says you're a bot. Something is wrong. I don't think I'm that bad at math, but I'm that bad at typing. So I will copy this so I actually type it correctly. Okay, let's try this again. Test, test, test. And this is something, you are a bot. And this is 6. You are a bot still. What? Perhaps it is because of this triple equals here. Because I set it as a number in the session, but when it's sent, it's a string. So I will cast it to a string. And I will cast this to a string because PHP is magnificent. Let's try this one more time. You are a bot, 10, and now we are sending the email. Yes, thanks. Okay, so now it works. Now we have a very good, well, oops, I'm losing my red screen. Okay, so now we have a form that actually works and it will block bots. Now this will block bots very well, but still we have these numbers here, so you could still make a targeted attack to this website and just read the numbers from the HTML and then put the correct answer in there. But of course, we are using sessions, so the bot should have cookies enabled and it should be able to read the HTML and then calculate the right number. Now, this is a problem. If the user does not have cookies enabled, then this will not work. So let's change this so that it will save this into a file. Let's create some folder here. Captchas. And we will copy this and we will say file put contents. Captchas / this. And we will save the total in there. So now we don't have a session anymore, and we will copy this, the whole thing, and we'll go to send form and remove session start. We don't need sessions anymore. And now the correct answer will be file get contents of the sent ID. Now here we are doing something very dangerous. We are taking something from the post and we are saving to this file. So here we should do some sanitation. I'll put here some preg replace everything that is not from A to Z and 0 to 9 we will remove. So we are not going to get any problems, hopefully. And we can remove this line and I will move this Captcha file. And I wrote Captcha wrong again. It's a difficult word. Captcha file. Okay, so now this should work. Let's try this. Refresh and Let's see our sessions. Delete the sessions. Now we don't have any sessions. And I will do something here. You are a bot. I will go back and I will put 6 in here. It doesn't work. I have the files here. I should do the same filter, capital letter as well, and I will put the same filter when I save it, because here I have capital letters, but here I don't allow capital letters, but I allow them when I save the file because I'm generating it. So let's add this here. Only allow those letters. And let's try this again. You are a bot, 7, and we are sending it. So now it works even without sessions or cookies or anything, or JavaScript. Everything works. So that is a pretty good way of doing it. Now, of course, we should delete these captchas from here at some point, add some garbage collection. But now, this is still not that amazing. It will protect from most spammers, but as I said, you can still read this and then send the right answer. So how could we make this more difficult? Well, a traditional captcha has that image that is very difficult to read. So let's try and do that. Could we make an image captcha? Now, how could we do that? First, we would have to generate some word. So how do we generate a random word? Well, we could use the same method as we did here. It's not really going to be a word, but yeah, that's good. We will use the same thing. I'll make a function random word. So we will have an ID that is a random word. And then instead of total, we will say word will also be a random word. And now instead of saving the word into the file, which we could do that. Let's do that. Let's save it in the file, and then we will also save a PNG image. And here we should have an image. So now we will have a word associated with an image and an actual image associated with an image. No, we don't have to do this. We only save the word that is in the image and the ID. Okay. And then here we say, what does this say? And here we will have an image, and the image will be echo image. Now, how do we create this image? Now, I don't want to save the image anywhere. I will only create it here and then use the data URI to print it here. So how do we do that? Let's create an image of a text in PHP. So I will have to do image is image PNG, image create, and we will say width will be 80 pixels and height will be 40 pixels. And then we will write to the image. Image, can I do this? No. I have to say image tf text, and we will have the image, and size of the font will be 20, angle will be 0, x will be, let's put 20, and y will be 30, and color will be black, and we have to generate the black color. And font file name. I think I can just use some system font here, Ubuntu. Yeah, we can do just like this. And text will be the word. Okay, and we have to say black equals image color allocate. Image red, green, blue 0, 0, 0. That will be black. Image GTF text. So that will add the text in the image, and then image source will be image PNG. Image, and if I don't specify the file, then it will be output. So I will just do this, and I will do ob start, and I will say image source is ob get contents. And then I will say image URI will be data. I never remember how to do this. Let's Google data URI. Media type base64. So it's this way. Image slash PNG base64. And then here we will say base64 encode image source. And we will call this image URI. I'm pretty sure this won't work because I don't work with images very often. But I think it's something like this. Let's refresh this page and see what happens. We got something here. Why did we get something there? I need to say ob clean. So then I don't get it up here. But I have an image here, but I don't have text. Because I used black. Let's do white, because the background will be black automatically. Well, okay, this I think will set the background. Wait a minute. If I say this, will this make it black? No. Let's read the manual. That is always a good thing to do in these situations. Image tf text. So, image color allocate. Yes. Image field rectangle. Okay. Create true color. Do I have to do that? I'm not sure if it matters. Let's do this. I'm not sure if it has to be in this hex format or not. So then we will create a rectangle. And we will add something. Let's try this again. We get the red rectangle, but the text is not being added. The problem might be that, first of all, let's put these at 0. Maybe it's off screen. Nope. Maybe this font name is wrong. Let me find a font. Okay, I have now a font that is called this, and it's in ... Hey, I can see something in there. Maybe my font... I set the font size at 0. Now I'm getting some text here. Okay, so I need to have a path to the font. It doesn't know system fonts. So let's make the text a bit smaller. Good. And I will make this... this can be 32, can be 6. And let's call this length. Sorry. Length. And this will be 6. Okay. Sorry. Well, actually, that's a good thing. We can actually tilt it like this, so it's going to be difficult to read. So this should be 20. Not 20, just 10. Maybe 8. Maybe 9. Okay, that is good. Now we have a pretty difficult to read text there. Let's add a line break. Okay, now we have our own Captcha here. So let's see if this actually works. So if I just put something here and here, it says you are a bot. Now let me check if this will actually work. Yes, this will work just the same. Okay, so if I add this text APPZNJRY and I submit, then we are sending the form and it is sent. Yes, so now it works. Now we have our custom Captcha that doesn't send anything anywhere. We are not being spied by Google or anybody else. We have our own thing. So that is amazing. Now, if you want to use or improve this code, you can find it on my GitHub, which I will link in the description. And if you like this kind of content, then please subscribe to my channel and you'll get more videos like this in the future. And if you have any suggestions or questions or anything, you can leave them in the comments down below. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.